Right, this is a video I never thought would happen. Today at Goodwill, I found a Eureka Ultra Whirlwind Lightspeed. I have always wanted one of these vacuums. I've never even owned a smart vac. And the fact that I found the bagless one before I found a regular smart vac is ridiculous. Now, I have seen several smart vacs over the years. I've seen 5, including this bagless one. And I passed on every single one, except the bagless one, obviously, because they were either overpriced or in really rough condition. There was actually another smart vac at this Goodwill. It was a red one, but it was a modern one, and I'm not interested in the modern ones. I would prefer a early 2000s one, and this one is an early 2000s one, and it is an extremely hard to find bagless one. So yeah, I definitely had to grab that. So, I'm going to give you guys a quick overview of this machine, show you what it's going to need, and then I will give you a quick run. I'm not going to be able to demonstrate this machine, but I will turn it on and let you guys hear how it sounds. For those who don't know, I got this at Goodwill for $13.19. Now, this is a bit of a side tangent, but a lot of my Goodwills are doing prices at at end 19 cents. It's really weird. I don't know why I noticed 2 Goodwills that I go to have started doing that. I don't know why. I thought I just mentioned that. But yeah, it was about $14 with tax. I think I rounded up. So yeah, it was $14. And this thing was so worth it. It's going to need some money put into it, as this thing is going to need some parts. But fortunately, most of the parts I am able to get. It does need one thing I'm not going to be able to get. But fortunately, it doesn't affect its performance, so I'm not too bothered. Alright, so here it is. It is the base model. It's in this lovely blue color. And it's the base model because it doesn't have any of the sensors. I didn't know this one existed. I thought it was the gray one and then the deep wine colored one. I didn't know there was a base model without sensors. So that's super cool. I don't even think there's a picture of this version on Google. There might be, but I'm pretty sure it's a stock picture if there is. So here's the base. I have to be careful with this machine because the one thing that is wrong with it and it's the part that I can't get is the handle release is completely busted. Now, fortunately, this machine does stand upright for the most part. You can see it is able to be positioned upright, but you can see it does fall back. So whenever I do find this thing a spot in my collection, which it will be staying in my collection. So whenever this thing is done up and cleaned, and I have to find a spot for it, it's probably going to be it will be against a wall. My plan is to put it right there over by my desk. I'm going to probably sell that green/gray Shark stick vac to fund this machine, because like I said, this thing needs some parts, and while I do have the money for that, I'd rather just sell a vacuum to then just have the money to buy the parts, because I don't really want to have to take that out of my actual account. I don't really want to spend that out of my own pocket, if you know what I mean. I'd rather just sell a vacuum and then basically have that pay for all the parts, if you know what I mean. So anyways, the plan is to sell that Shark to help pay for some of the parts that this is going to need, and then I'll probably either move the 3522-1 downstairs or maybe find another spot in my room, and then the Ultra Whirlwind is going to go right there. So yeah. Anyways, here's the base. This thing is huge. It's so big. It's bigger than a Thunder, which is crazy. But anyways, yeah, this thing is 12 amps, obviously. We have, obviously, a smart vac base, because what this is a bagless smart vac. It's basically what it is. It's not called a smart vac, but it's a smart vac. So we have our height adjustments. Again, pretty basic. I think we have... This isn't a review, obviously. It's just an overview. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 height adjustments. So... oh, God. Oh, I did not like the sound of that. I'm not going to do that again. This thing is very fragile. We have our clutch. So basically what this does is take the brush from... it turns the brusher off. This thing isn't dual motored. This is an actual clutch, but it's not like a Dyson clutch where they can wear out. It does have a standard stretch belt. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave that on carpet because those are prone to failure, even on the regular smart vacs. I'll flip it over at the end of the video. Here's the HEPA filter. I'm not going to remove this cover because it's fragile and I hate to... Actually, you know what? Why not? Here's the HEPA filter cover, and you can see I'm going to remove it so you guys can see that. That is a disaster. These covers are pretty fragile, so I'm going to be careful with it. But you can see, Jesus Christ. That is so bad. I'm not telling you. Well, I mean, actually, if you saw the community post, you'll know how this sounds. But I'm not gonna say if you haven't seen the community post yet. Here, I don't want to press too hard. Oh God. Okay, are we in? Oh my God. That's why I didn't want to do that. Oh man. I'm going to lean this up against a wall. Holy crap. So we're leaned up against a wall now, or actually leaned up against my Destiny. Now, fortunately, before you guys ask me in the comments, it fell in between the Queen View and the Destiny and hit the wall. And there's no marks on the wall. Nothing was damaged in that fall. But that just proves my point that this thing will tip over and needs to be leaned up against the wall. Also, I was able to get the HEPA filter cage back on without damaging it. But like I said, these are pretty fragile, so I'm not going to do that again. That filter is really bad, though. It's going to have to be replaced. So that's one of the things that's going to need to be replaced. Fortunately, you can still buy those. It's just a regular smart vac filter, so that's not a big deal. Here's the dirt cup. This is another thing I hate taking off. It's so fiddly, this machine. Everything is. The clutch is fiddly. That's fiddly. This is fiddly. Dirt bin's fiddly. It's a mess. And storing it upright is fiddly, but that's not technically this machine. That's because mine has a broken foot pedal. But anyways, here's the dirt bin. So we have this little lever, like a Bissell. It's pretty hard, I'm going to be honest. Wow. I'm going to do that off camera. So I believe there's like a little lock, like a little just click that where it clicks into, unlike the Bissells where it just moves freely. This actually has like a little click. So I had to use my, because I'm filming, my phone is in my right hand. So I had to pause the camera and use my dominant hand to get that off. But anyways, yeah, you can see that does slide open fine. And this dirt cup is so weird. You like pull it out like this, and then it removes. Now, one of the things that is missing, thankfully, I have found, and I'm going to be ordering it tonight. There's one left on eBay. I don't know. I'm not going to take this out because you can see the seal is really... This blue cover is going to have to come off, and I'm going to have to reposition that seal because it makes a horrible... You can see it's all messed up in there. It does come off, but you can see there should be like a tube foam filter in there, and that is MIA. So I'm going to have to get a new one of those before I can actually use this machine, which is why I'm not actually going to push it on the carpet. I'll turn it on for you guys, but I'm not going to push it on the carpet for that reason. But anyways, I might have to do this off camera, but you can see that seal is pretty fiddly. I believe it should look something like that. That's not a big deal, though. The seal isn't damaged. It's just pulled out of place. So I think I'm going to have to remove this blue top to be able to reposition that seal properly, because with the seal like that, it makes a horrible, like, brr, brr, like a vibrating noise, something like that. It sounds so dumb trying to recreate it, but yeah, it makes a weird noise, and you'll probably hear it on camera. But anyways, here's the bin itself. Again, this is going to get its own video, but you can see there's the dual cyclone that got them sued. I mean, I don't even know if this counts as dual cyclone. That doesn't look dual cyclone to me, but apparently it is. It doesn't really look like this. Well, actually, it kind of does. So yeah, this thing is, yeah, it's dual cyclonic, and they got sued by Dyson. That's why this thing was taken off the market so quickly, and that is why it's so hard to find. But either way, the bin is in great condition. This isn't supposed to have anything in it. I believe it's just supposed to catch fine dust. But anyways, to put the bin back in, you put that on, and then you slide it over to one side, and then you slide this up, and you have to make sure the seal is like sitting in there right, or else it's going to do the same thing that one did. And then you push it all the way over, and then you'll hear it. See how it clicks into place? That's why I think there's like a little catch there, because once you like once you pull it out, it's easy to move back and forth unless when it's sitting in that lock. So basically what I'm saying is I believe there's like a little clip that it sits in, if you know what I mean. It's not free like the Bissells are to move around. Like you see how this one, I don't really have to pull that hard to slide the lever. Well, this one I have to get it past that little clip in order to move the lever. Moving on from the bin, we have our switch panel. Now this guy, I believe, I don't know if I said it or not, but this is the base model. This and like an off greeny color one were the base model ones. And it's the base model because it doesn't have the dirt sensor. There might have also been like a filter check indicator. I'm not sure. I've never owned one of these. But anyways, there were sensors and LEDs on the section on the top of the line one, but on the base model, those are not existent. So we just have our on and off switch. This switch may be arcing a little bit. I'm going to have to investigate it further. And that's another reason why I want to take off this blue panel, because these switches are prone to melting, and I just want to make sure it's in good shape. Fortunately, if it is melted, it's a smart vac switch, so that is not a big deal. That's a major pro with this thing, is that almost all the parts are smart vac parts. So if one of the parts breaks, well, not all the parts are compatible, like this cover is its own cover. Obviously, all the bin stuff is its own thing. But like the brush roll is the smart vac brush roll. It takes the smart vac belt. That's the smart vac switch. Obviously, it has a smart vac handle. But anyways, yeah, so I'm going to check if that switch is in good shape. If it is, obviously, I won't replace it. But if it isn't in good shape, I will just swap it out. It's a smart vac switch, so that won't be that hard to do. My main concern, though, is getting this blue piece off. I don't actually plan to strip the thing down to the motor like I usually do, because I don't want to risk breaking this machine. If I broke this machine, I would probably cry. I'm not joking. So, yeah, I'm not going to take it down to the motor. I will take it apart and wash some of the basic parts, like the base plate. I'll wash the bin out. And I'll wash this tube out, and I'll wash the stuff, and I'll wash the hose. Like, I'll wash the basic parts, but I'm not going to take the entire thing apart, because I don't want to break it. Yeah, I just don't want to risk anything. It's the handle, and you can definitely see that is a smart vac handle. If you know a smart vac, you know that's a smart vac handle. This thing is heavy as hell. This thing has got to weigh at least 25 pounds. It's ridiculous. It's heavier than a smart vac, because it's basically an extremely heavy vacuum with more weight put on it with the bagless assembly. And this thing, you can definitely feel it in the hand. I mean, I don't know if you noticed when it fell, but this thing falls with a thud. The thing is heavy. It's heavy in the hand. It's ridiculous. There's the price tag, and you can see I paid $13 for that. It's awesome. Here's the back of the machine. It's not actually that creaky. You would think this would be a creaky machine, but it does feel solid. But like I said, I don't want to risk breaking anything, because parts are unobtainium besides the basics, so I'm not risking it. Because even smart vac parts besides the basics are getting scarce. You can find used parts on eBay if you're lucky, but they're basically out of stock if you're looking for brand new parts. It is missing every attachment, so both the extension wands are missing. And then on the back, it's missing the little dusting brush. Fortunately, I believe those shouldn't be too hard to obtain. And again, I'm not that concerned about the attachments. I'm mainly concerned about the filters. So yeah, it's going to need, quick recap, it's going to need about a brush roll, because the brush roll is pretty chewed up on this machine. The bearings in it are going out. While it does spin, you can hear it. It rattles a lot. It needs a new brush roll. It also is going to need a belt, but that's pretty easy. It's going to need a new HEPA filter, and it's going to need a new bin filter. So that's probably going to be like $50 worth of parts, and I'm willing to spend that on this machine, but yeah, it's going to be pricey. So tools are not a priority is what I'm saying, because I want to get everything else bought for this machine before I worry about tools. Here's the hose. It's a bit droopy. When I found this machine, the hose was actually, you can see on my community post what it looks like, but the hose was like that. So, yeah, I guess they might have stretched it out. So, unfortunately, it's a bit droopy. I don't know if I'm going to do this, but if I do want to shorten this, it's not that hard. I can just unscrew it, cut it down a little bit, and then screw it back into this piece, and then it should be fine. But I don't know if I'm going to do that. I'll think about it. The back of the machine, though, is in very good shape. Both cord hooks are intact. The clear base is in pretty good shape. Knock on wood. That's another reason why I don't want to take this apart. I just don't want to risk cracking anything. I really just don't want to risk it. It seems that the cord, this might have been apart before, actually. That cord, I believe that cord should be here. Like, looped in here. Someone may have just put this together wrong, because, I mean, yeah, I don't know, actually. That's a good question. Would this panel have been off when you got this machine new? I don't know if you would have had to install it then. I don't know if you would have had to install that yourself. Because you can see here, I don't know if this is ripped or anything. Actually, yeah. No? Like, you see what I mean? This cord should go in here, and then the screw, it should be screwed down. But it looks like someone has unscrewed that screw and forgot to put the cord back in place. So someone may have opened this, or someone assembled this wrong. I don't know, because I don't know if this panel would have had to have been assembled when this thing was new. But either way, it's not that big a deal, because at least they seem to put it back close. At least they seem to have put this thing back together correctly. I don't know, though. Like I said, I've never handled one of these. Here's the rating sticker, 17th week of 2003. I believe these were made for about 3 years. I know they came out in 01, and they just got discontinued in around 03. No, not 03. In around 04, 05. But yeah, this thing is a middle-of-the-run model. So yeah, now I'm going to show you guys the underside of this machine. Here's the base of this machine. So here's the brush roll. And while this does look in great condition, the bearings in it are pretty meh. So I'm probably going to try and oil the bearings. And if that fails, I'll probably order a new brush roll. That is going to be expensive. While you can still get smart vac brush rolls easily, I would like to save money if I can, because this thing needs a lot of parts. But it does spin, but like I said, it rattles a lot. The brush roll bearings don't sound the greatest. And the belt, oh my god, I don't know if anyone who knows vacuum cleaners, that belt is ridiculously thin. This has got to be the original belt, and it is completely, like if I turn it on its side, you can barely see it. It's crazy. This belt is completely destroyed. So yeah, I just saved that because I kind of wanted to show you guys. There is no belt installed in this machine right now, but I can get a belt. That's not that big a deal. But yeah, that belt is so bad. That will definitely need to be replaced. But yeah, otherwise, the underside of this machine looks really nice. The clear base hasn't cracked at all, which is a pretty common problem with these. And I'm not going to be using the drill when I take this apart, because one of the things I'm worried about is cracking this base, because I am probably going to remove the height adjustment wheels. I'll probably remove the wheels. But I'm not actually going to separate the base from the main motor assembly. But yeah, otherwise, this brush roll's in good shape. It just sucks that the bearings are shot, so I may need to replace it. Otherwise, the base is in great shape, base plate's in great shape. Yeah, this thing doesn't look too bad at all. What I forgot to show you is this hose entrance. I thought this was a little weird, because I thought it was maybe like knocked off to one side, or God forbid broken. But this is actually super weird. It's like at an angle. I always thought that was really interesting. I don't think it's like that on the Smart Vac. While I've never worked on a Smart Vac, like I said earlier, I've seen a few in person and have passed up on a few. I've seen a few, so I don't believe it's like this on the Smart Vac, but I could be wrong. But yeah, otherwise, this hose end is in great shape. The hose itself is in great shape, besides being a little droopy, like I mentioned earlier. But yeah, this thing is in very good shape, despite it needing a brush roll and some filters. The only major concern I have with it is that the hand release is busted. But like I said, that won't affect performance, so I'm not too upset over that. So let's get this thing plugged in, and I will show you guys how this thing sounds. We're plugged in. Now, I did mention earlier that this thing was making like a hooting noise. Unfortunately, you're not going to hear that because I'm running this with the bin open, because I don't want to get any dirt into the motor. I'm actually going to remove that because there's no filter in there, and this thing has clearly had a lot of dust go through the motor, so I don't want to put any more strain on it. The thing is filthy. It needs to be cleaned out. So yeah, I'm just going to run it with the bin open to be safe. But you will hear how this thing sounds. Now, you guys saw that filter. If you haven't seen the community post yet, I want you to take a guess on how this thing sounds after seeing that HEPA filter. It was really bad, right? Well, listen to this shit. I can't believe it. Bearings could be better, slightly louder than it should be, but oh my god, that sounds perfect. I mean, well, not perfect, but it sounds really, really good. I'm so happy with this purchase. I can't wait to get this thing restored. This thing will 100,000% get its own video. I'm so excited to try this machine because I've heard people rave about it, and I've always wanted to try one, and I'm finally able to. Obviously, I can't push on the carpet in this video because the belt looks like that, and there's no belt installed, and I don't want to run it, I don't want to run it with no filter because I don't want any more dirt going in the motor. This thing's clearly been abused, and I don't want to abuse it anymore. I want to finally give this thing the life it deserves. So yeah, in other words, I'm so happy with this thing. I can't believe it. $13 was such a steal. I can't wait to get this thing restored. This thing is now on my it's my number one priority. This will be the next machine I take apart, because with my restorations, I don't actually have a vacuum apart right now, so this is the one I will be taking apart. I'm going to be ordering all the parts this thing needs right after this video. And yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. Comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.